Welcome to America's Last Great Places. Today we're going to very briefly explain what the last great places are all about, why we should care about them, where they are located, and how they were determined and ranked. Almost 100 years ago, the pioneering ecologist Victor Shelford led the first effort to catalog America's important natural areas. In 1975, the Nature Conservancy initiated focused efforts towards conserving America's natural diversity through inventories and land protection. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, the Nature Conservancy conducted ecoregional assessments to identify priority areas for conservation. Why conserve natural diversity? Famed scientist E.O. Wilson, considered the godfather of biodiversity, made compelling arguments for biodiversity conservation. And naturalist and conservationist Aldo Leopold said it most succinctly. The universe of possible great places came from three public sources: the Protected Areas Database for the U.S., maintained by the U.S. Geological Survey, the National Audubon Society's Important Bird Areas, and the Nature Conservancy's ecoregional plans. The area covered is in the lower 48 states. Ecoregions are relatively large geographic areas delineated by climate, vegetation, geology, and other environmental features. To conserve natural diversity, it's important to capture ecosystems and species across all ecoregions. Using publicly available, geographically based, open-source data, 7 key factors were used to evaluate all places over 10,000 acres. These factors include landscape diversity, ecosystem diversity, habitat suitability for imperiled species, human modification of the landscape, vegetation condition, resilience against the effects of climate change, and the degree of conservation management. Using GIS tools, raw scores for each factor were determined for each site. These scores were then statistically converted into rankings on a scale of 0 to 100. Each site was ranked within its ecoregion as well as with other sites across the country. The top 1,000 sites were then identified from each of the 3 place-based data sets. These 3,000 top-rated sites were then re-ranked among themselves to have a consistent comparison. This gives us a map and a scorecard of America's last great places, looking at the elements of natural diversity in places that are intact, in good condition, resilient, and well-managed. The last great places are a set of areas that substantially conserve America's natural diversity.